Hi guys, welcome to Snake Nook. I'm Vanny and with me I have little Atlas and he is my Australian water python. He's hanging out with us today. He's going to help me with the intro and outro of this video. And the topic of today's video is, should you buy a wild-caught snake and the plight of the Savus? And to help us with that topic, I'm going to go ahead and share some footage of my two little Savus, Ember and Vulcan. And as we check them out, checking out the cat tree, I'm going to tell you about why you should be careful when purchasing a wild-caught snake. And Atlas here is an F2, so he is 2 generations removed from the wild. He's the closest thing that I have to a wild-caught snake. And I do not plan on purchasing a wild-caught snake, and I'll tell you why. Stay tuned. Here I have Ember. She is my Savu island python female, and right in the second level, or rather the lower level, is her brother Vulcan. They're hanging out together. This is the second time they hang out together. I'll see how Vulcan does because he wasn't so good about it the first time they were hanging out together. She's a bit darker in orange color and he's a little lighter, he's a little bigger. They are Liasis or Liasis, or however you want to say it, Liasis sabuensis. That is her scientific name. Whoa, watch it there, Ember. And I have 2 of these Savu island pythons, not easy to find. I spent a great part of my 2023 trying to acquire at least one, and I did quite a bit of research, as much as I could, on these guys, and I found out that they listed as endangered in the IUCN Red List. And unfortunately, guys, not too many people know that. Not too many people know about the plight of the Savu. Poachers to this day are still collecting them for the pet trade. Back in the 1990s, they were quite popular as pet pythons, and they were being collected for the pet trade back then. They remained popular in the pet trade for quite a while, and even in the 2010s, certain breeders were importing them into the United States. So that means that within the snake species that they were acquiring, some of those may have been wild-caught Savu Island pythons. The bad part about that is that these snakes inhabit such a small range. They are endemic to an Indonesian island called Savu, and this island exists off of the northern part of Australia. And in this island, over the past few decades, there has been a lot of changes to the land, such as agricultural production. These guys don't have a whole lot of land to begin with, and then there's growth and development in that island, so that alone is decreasing, causing some of that decrease in numbers of the Savu Island python. But then add to that poachers collecting for the pet trade. Not just really adds to the plight of the Savu, and unfortunately these guys are not doing so good in their natural habitat. So when a poacher collects grown Savu Island pythons for the pet trade, they are collecting survival specialists. Those are the ones that the poachers are going to collect and sell. They are not collecting the weaklings. The weaklings didn't make it. They became food for predators. They are collecting the survival specialists that occupy a very important part in their natural ecosystems. And that's just devastating to the ecosystems that are in place in the island of Savu. So if people are looking for a more of a rare snake species such as the Savu Island python, I hope that they reconsider purchasing a wild-caught one, no matter what the circumstance is. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at little Atlas. Atlas is my Australian water python. I acquired him back in September of 2023. So let's go ahead and have a look at him and his story. The reason why I thought Atlas would be the perfect little co-host for this video is because Atlas is an F2, meaning that he's only 2 generations in from the wild, and honestly he could have been F1. The breeder said possibly F2, so yeah, and I found that out when I picked him up from FedEx. I didn't think to ask before. I knew that he was not wild caught. The breeder was breeding Australian water pythons, and so he was not wild caught, but he unfortunately does come from either wild caught parents or wild caught grandparents. And his whole disposition when I first got him, his behavior definitely told me that he is not generations in captivity. Like, he doesn't come from generations and generations of water pythons in captivity. Well, here I am about to do session number 3 on conditioning to handling with Atlas, my male water python. He is about 5.5 months old. I just acquired him about 2 weeks ago, and I left him alone for a few days when he first got here, and I've only done 2 other sessions with him. We're not quite actually at conditioning yet to handling. We are working on proximity and desensitization to just human proximity, and a little bit of desensitization to handling. So once he becomes a little bit more handleable, then I can work fully on conditioning to handling. He's only had 2 previous sessions with me, and those have involved very minimal handling, of course. He's not at the point where he can sit in my hands yet. That's not even close. He is rather defensive on a level that I have not yet worked with. He is quite defensive, so much so that if he wants to, he can just shoot himself right out of that box and pretty much into the air, because he has done that before. So he is on a whole nother level for me. So I'm learning. I'm learning a lot with little Atlas. His behavior was quite unpredictable, ornery to the bone, to the core, and just pretty difficult to work with initially. And just the way he behaved was more indicative of him coming from a wild Australia, from maybe wild caught parents or grandparents. Just his behavior was very much unlike snakes that have been bred for generations and generations in captivity. So little Atlas was not at all holdable. He was not even okay with proximity when I was first working with him. At that time, I was also working with Stellar, so that was a lot. Stellar has proven to be quite a challenge, but this little guy was just not holdable, and he certainly did not behave, like I said, at all like a snake that comes from generations and generations of captive bred water pythons, and lots of work to do there. So he was quite defensive. I remember starting with him just with proximity, and he wouldn't have it. He was terrified. He would even open his mouth, wriggle his tongue, and even propel himself into the air in hopes of being able to land a bite on me and scare me away. So he was quite the challenge. He actually became my husband's project because I was still working with Stellar, and my husband was the one that worked with him initially to get him to settle down and to trust humans, and he did a lot of great work with Atlas.
Hi Atlas, are you okay? Are you around your bowl? Huh? Are you around your bowl? What you up to? What are you looking at me for? You just relax there and sit by your bowl and be good, okay? Good boy. Flicker, flicker, flicker. Flicker, flicker, flicker.
Aren't you going to turn it off? But when you do, you'll be flying the jet. So hold the yoke steady.
It's a flicker, Atlas. He's a flicker, flicker. He's in there, flicker, flicker. Hey! You don't know what to do? Show me some more flicker, flicker.
Okay.
There you go. I like flicker, flickers. Show me some more flicker, flickers.
And then I finished conditioning him to handling after my husband had initially worked with him. My husband never worked with Stellar, so Stellar was my project and Atlas became his project. And yeah, my husband had to endure some Australian water python bites. And then when I came into the picture as far as continuing that work on conditioning him to handling, yeah, this guy was still a little defensive, a little flinchy to the touch. But I've been working with him and he loves his outing, so he's doing so good now, guys. He's just come such a long way. On this little guy, let me get him up close. There he is. He's so cute. Yes, you are so cute, baby. Yes, you are. He's, yeah, definitely come a long way. I've only gotten bitten once by this little guy. I have taken one bite from this little water python, and boy, did that bite hurt. It did. It was to my earlobe. I was minding my own business. He was out with me. I was laying down on my phone watching YouTube shorts, and he was hanging around. He was kind of having an outing, hanging around, going over me, around me, having fun, staying close to me, and then he kind of wriggled into my neck area. And he went up to my earlobe, and then, yeah, bite, crunch, and that was quite painful. You would think it wouldn't have hurt because he's little, and he was, you know, even smaller then. He was a little smaller, but yeah, unfortunately, it hurt quite a bit. So he's not allowed anywhere near my ears anymore. I have to be careful with him. I'm trying to condition him to hang out around my face and to be okay with it. I'm still working with the little Atlas, but he's awesome. He is very, very beautiful. He's amazing now that he's calmed down. He is a Lyasis like the Savu Island pythons. So they are also Lyasis, and he is Lyasis fuscus or Lyasis fuscus, or however you want to say that. But he is an Australian water python. Absolutely beautiful this little boy is. Look at that. He is gorgeous. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Such a beautiful little co-host. Yes, you are, because you're a sweetheart. Well, guys, I'll go ahead and take you back to the video with the Savu Island pythons, and then we'll wrap it up with little Atlas. I can't imagine the stress that an animal goes through when it is torn from the wild and brought into captivity. There has to be a lot of damage, and I don't mean just physical. I mean more like, what does that do to the animal, how the animal is internally as a little soul. What does that do? What changes? What changes are taking place as to how they process things? So I often wonder what wild-caught snakes have to go through, what it is that they are enduring when they have to transition from being wild snakes into captive snakes that then may be treated as pets. I know that overall the goal is to learn more about them, or it is to bring, sometimes breeders will say fresh bloodlines or something like that. Not too familiar with that, but unfortunately it's at such a great cost that it's not even worth it. So if you're looking for a rare type of snake species such as a Savu Island python, please think it over. Do not acquire a wild-caught one, even though it may take a little bit more time to find one in captivity or to find a breeder. Then just be patient. That's so much better than promoting taking these snakes out from the wild. I hope that people understand that these snakes occupy a very important niche in their ecosystems. Leave them alone so that they can exist where they belong. We cannot be that greedy and selfish that we want to take everything that there is and then realize only when it's much too late, oh no, this animal is now endangered, and so now we're going to try to do some conservation efforts. Well, how about we prevent instead of lament, and bring some awareness to some of these snake species that are currently endangered. If we can still save them, then we must. And this is not the only snake species that is currently endangered, guys, but this is the one that I currently want to help bring awareness to. Just kind of help out the little Savu Island python. Mine are both captive bred. One day I hope to hear that the Savu Island python is no longer an endangered species on the IUCN Red List, and I hope that that day is not too far away. Well guys, there you have it. My Savus, Vulcan and Ember, checking out the cat tree and having some fun. Those two sure are growing up pretty fast, especially Vulcan. He has put on quite a bit of size, that boy has. And here with me to wrap up the video is still little Atlas, who just loves to hang out and get some outside of his enclosure time with me. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and we hope to see you here again next time. Y'all have a good one. Bye.